But point two is lacking creativity and experimentation. And there's a few very specific ways that you can do this. Some of the ways that I like to do this is with sandboxes. You don't actually have to have them. I'll show you how to use something as an alternative, but honestly, just break things, try things, test them out. I'll show you a very specific board that we use internally at grid.io. This is our content creation board. And it took us a year and a half to actually put this together in a way that works legitimately for us and our team. The only reason we were able to do that and to get to a point where this board works so well for us and for what we do is because we just tried it 10 different ways. I think we made like hundreds of micro adjustments with like fields and variations of statuses and flows. I think there's been over like 10 major revamps of something like this where we literally like reworked all the statuses, the way it works, the work types. Like there's been a lot we did to actually make this work. The only way that that was possible is we just tried to break things and try as many things as we possibly could. We did do this in a sandbox, and literally to set up a sandbox, it's as simple as going to your settings on the top right. I like to go to user management. That's kind of the fastest way to get there. But then you could click on your apps, you click on sandboxes, and you just click create first sandbox. Or if you already have one, you could click on that one and access it. Now, what's really cool about the sandbox is that you can create it and then copy your production data, whatever's in your Jira environment now, to the sandbox. And now you have like a perfect replica that you could just go in and just break everything, right? You could go in and test a bunch of new stuff, try a bunch of new things. And that's exactly what we did with our content creation board. I just went in there and I tried like 3 different variations of how we would actually implement something. And then I tried using it for like a kind of a mock experience in a live production environment, like how I'd walk through a piece of content. Eventually, we landed on something that actually worked for us. And by doing this, we tried like a whole bunch of different variations, and we ended up at a place where we actually found a solution that we liked to use. And that was very, very big for us because it was, we kind of had a solution before. It wasn't quite there. It was like, it was usable. We didn't love it. We didn't enjoy using it. We didn't really look at that board because we just kind of were repulsed by it. And that to say, like, there are probably 100 different ways you could do something in Jira because of the customization and flexibility. It's really a matter of let's find the specific version, the way the implementation that works best for you and your team. Like this setup that we have might not work for you and your team very well, but it works for us very, very well based on like how we run our content and our team. So there's a lot of different ways that you can tweak, modify, and change things. And I just encourage you to go in, create a sandbox, copy production data, and just break everything you can. And this works exceptionally well when you're running a new implementation. And I say this because you don't really have anything yet. Like there is no production data. So literally set up a sandbox and just start with a couple different variations of how you want to implement something. Literally just start throwing stuff in there, give it a couple of tests, have your team jump in, have them test it out, have them give you feedback. And from there, you can make better decisions on what is actually going to work best for us. That's why I love to use sandboxes so much. Now, sandboxes are only available for premium Jira customers. You don't technically have to have them, though. The really big thing that you'll be missing with the sandbox is the ability to copy production data into the sandbox. But my recommendation is if you don't have premium, literally go in and just create a new space that is the same one that you're using and experiment with that. Now, you can't create a whole bunch of test data in there for like, you can create test data, but you can't copy the test data. But you can absolutely still go in, add in backend functionality, test things out, still break things in the context of that space. I actually like to use this in a team managed project sometimes, which is, don't tell anyone. It's, we're not supposed to use team managed spaces as Jira admins, but I like to use them for testing every once in a while. That way we don't create a bunch of backend bloat with like fields and work types. But it does give you the opportunity to just create something and test it out, break it, wipe the space clean, and you're done. There's no trace of it left. And then you could now implement that new findings that you have from that space that you've kind of played around with into a production environment. So you do not need a sandbox environment. You don't need to pay for Jira Premium necessarily. It does make it more convenient, and it does help with the production data copy, but it is not necessary. And again, I just encourage you to jump in, break things, test them out, try different variations of what you're implementing and how you're implementing them, and then see what works best. This is actually something we do with our clients every single time we engage with a new organization. So whenever we go to implement Jira, we have what is called our Jira strategy. And during that process, we build POCs to actually test out. And we give several variations of those POCs to see what'll kind of work best. So we'll kind of go in and get an idea, a really good lay of the land of like, how is the work being done now? What is the goal we're trying to accomplish? And now let's build a couple of POCs that could work really well for this particular environment. And then we'll just test them out. We'll have users jump in. We'll see what's more intuitive. We'll probably even make a couple of revisions. And without that part of it, we would never be able to come to a really, really good implementation with the clients that we work with. So I highly encourage you to just break things as much as you can, test them out, because there's so many different variations of how you could do any given thing within Jira. Real quick, if you're running a 10 to 200 person team and you're trying to set this up by yourself, the hardest part really isn't the configuration. It's getting your team to actually use what you built. After implementing Jira over 200 times myself, that's the pattern that I see every single time. Someone builds it out, the end users end up ignoring it, and 6 months later, you're trying to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. And the mistake most end up making is that they configure the tool first and hope that the team adapts. We actually do the opposite. We fix the underlying process first and then build Jira around it. That's why it ends up sticking. Because we're so hands-on, we operate on a wait list, and our next kickoffs are 4 to 6 weeks out. And if you want to implement Jira so that it actually gets utilized, click the first link in the description.